Wednesday, April 27th, 2022. And so Matt Gaetz is mad at Steve Scalise and Kevin McCarthy for having, telephone conversations about him and his actions, and the fact that, his defense of the president right after the terrorist attack in January of 2021 was dangerous, and they needed to stop him. And I guess they never really had those conversations with Matt Gaetz, or he doesn't admit to having those conversations. He just is calling them cowards for basically talking about him behind his back. And on today's program, I don't remember which one of them said it, but saying that, I think it was Sarah, that Matt Gaetz is right that these two men are weak men, because they ultimately didn't stand up. They caved to Trump and and followed the big lie. And Sonny made the point about why aren't the Democrats talking about policy? Biden wants to cancel student debt, blah, blah, blah. The conversation went that, Kevin McCarthy may become Speaker of the House if the House goes to the Republicans next in 2024, 2022, this year, and the Republicans don't have an agenda. And so she said, why aren't the Democrats, talking about policy? Because the Republicans don't have one. And I think that the Democrats, yes, need to be talking about policy. These are the things that we can do for you. They need to be talking about the fact that the Republicans don't have a policy. The Democrats have a tendency to, when they do talk, only talk about themselves, and not do it very effectively. But we need a multi-pronged strategy here, and we need to communicate over and over again that the Republicans tried to overthrow the government. The Republicans don't have an agenda. They aren't trying to help you in any way. Voting for more of them is going to get nothing accomplished, and voting for more Democrats will get you these things. And we also need to continue to remind voters not only about the policy differences, that the fact that the Republicans are liars, but we need to be taking advantage of this moment, and a little bit out of the playbook. And the Republicans are in disarray. They're so disorganized. They can't agree with each other. Republicans can't govern. They can't even agree with each other about how to handle the insurrection. They can't agree to handle Trump. They can't agree. We need to be a little more on the attack about how ineffective they are. And then if we're going to talk about policy, we also need to talk, and we need to talk about answering some of their stupid attacks. We need to talk about policy. We need to talk about how it affects people. We need to make sure that it's made personal. And there was a Michigan state representative that went viral recently because a Republican candidate, I guess, had accused her of grooming or something in some campaign ads or emails. And so she went on the state Senate floor to basically rip her opponent a new one, and explain how, what her faith meant to her, and that it wasn't necessarily about being in a church every Sunday, but it was about caring about the community and giving back to the community, and living with honor, which her apparent, she was basically saying her opponent does not do. Excuse me. And we need more of that. We need more of people standing up and fighting for what is right. And I think that that's where the Democrats really fail, is that we don't fight. And there's so much anger in this country, and I know we don't want to add to the vitriol and to the and turning the temperature up and all of that bullshit. But if the electorate doesn't see that the Democratic candidates are also mad and also willing to fight, then they're not going to be inspired. There's a lot of anger going around. There's the dum-dums that are mad at all the wrong things and blaming Democrats and praising the most divisive leader we've ever had. And then the Democrats are not in the fight. But we need to keep reminding them that we have plans to offer. What we need is the personnel to pull the plans off. And by voting for Republicans, you're voting for disarray, you're voting for more insurrection, you're voting for government intervention in your life. They need to put the policies of the GOP onto the GOP. Because their big thing, GOP's thing is, less government, small government. I don't want the government telling me what to do. And we need to be pointing out how many Republican sponsored bills are out there that are limiting what people can do. This whole thing with Musk buying Twitter, the right is claiming, they're the group of free speech. They literally just told teachers in Florida not to say specific words. That's not free speech. So, yeah, the Republicans need to be talking about policy. They need to be pointing out every single one of the Republican hypocrisies. And they need to be showing the electorate that the Republican Party is the one that's not going to do anything to help them. And it's not the people that they think they are. They are for more regulation of your person and freedom for companies. Point to their tax bills. Has there been one Republican, even co-sponsored piece of legislation in the past 2 years, year and a half? Point to the fact that they are ineffectual and that they are a party of lying, vote stealing, and you can't really say what they are, but you can point out what they've done, trying to not be mean. It's not going to last very long. Anyway, so that's, yes, the Republicans need to get their asses out in front on TV and continually talk about, this is what we can do. This is how we can do it. This is how it affects you. This is why the Republicans are a bad choice. And this is why we need more Democrats to get these things done. Voting for them gets you 0. # Republicans in disarray.